In our third story, let's talk to somebody from the White House. Actually, not just somebody, White House Senior Advisor David Axelrod. Mr. Axelrod, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Cenk, good to be with you.
All right. I want to ask you about an article in Politico today. Ben Smith wrote that you guys are practicing unilateral disarmament when it comes to accepting outside help from 527s, whereas the Republicans are getting flooded by that outside help. Does he have a valid point there?
First of all, the President of the United States is not can't raise money for outside groups. We have raised money for our party committees, for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the Senate Campaign Committee, the DNC, and we've raised record amounts of money for those groups. And were it just a competition between the parties and the candidates, then we would be doing very well. But what's happened now, as you point out, is this flood of outside money, which we all suspect but can't pinpoint, is coming from the very interest groups that we've been battling over the last 2 years on financial reform, on health insurance reform, to hold oil companies accountable when they spill, and so on. And the empire's striking back, and they're striking back with a vengeance.
None of the Republicans voted for the Disclose Act when it was introduced a little while ago. It looks like you're going to have an even less friendly Congress come January. So how do you plan to fight back or change the system at all if the Republicans aren't going to play ball and you just don't have a lot of votes in your favor after January?
Well, you're absolutely right. We passed a bill that through the House that would have required all these groups to disclose where the money is coming from, whether it's coming from insurance companies or Wall Street or anywhere else, and whether they supported Democrats or Republicans, because sunlight is the greatest disinfectant, and this represented an assault on campaign finance laws and ultimately on our democracy, as you point out. The Republicans in the Senate voted unanimously, 41, to block an up or down vote. We had the votes to pass it in the Senate. To a person, the Republicans voted to keep these contributions secret. This is going to be an ongoing battle, Cenk. We can't simply let it go.
But, David, that goes to the critical question after the election, which is, look, they're not going to agree to any of your proposals. You didn't get a single vote on any of them in the first 2 years. You're not going to get a single vote, it appears, based on the track record here, in the second 2 years, right? So then you're presented with the question of, are you going to accept some Republican proposals, or are you going to fight back? So which one will it be?
First of all, let me say we did get enough Republican support on some of these measures to pass them. It was painstaking. It was difficult. I'll give you an example. We spent months trying to pass a bill to help small businesses in this country with 8 different tax cuts and a lending facility, because their great problem is getting capital. And it finally took 2 Republican senators who were leaving to support that, to break a filibuster and allow us to pass that bill. So we have had some support, but it's been hard to get. Our feeling is that if we can find common ground, we will find common ground. What we won't do is compromise fundamental principles. I think the American people want us to work together, but they don't want us to work together at the cost of fighting for the things that we know are important to rebuild the middle class, to get our economy moving again, and that's something we won't do.
You know, to the point of unilateral disarmament, as you guys reached out throughout these last 2 years, it seemed to a lot of people that you didn't get to push your message. For example, New York Times just has a story out today that less than 10% of Americans know that they got a tax cut, through the stimulus package, among other things. Almost nobody knows about the $40 billion you saved through the student lending program. Did you take credit for the wrong things, whether it was healthcare reform, which is not very popular now, or did you not insist on enough credit, or was there a problem in messaging here as you try to reach out to Republicans and didn't really fight back on some of these issues that you think you should have gotten credit for?
Or maybe we just need more people listening to your radio show, Cenk, and they'd get the true facts. Look, I think the real issue is that we were faced with an economic crisis, the proportions of which we haven't seen since the Great Depression. We had to take a series of steps very, very quickly. Let's take the tax cut, for example. Yes, the political advice, and I'm a political advisor, was how do you get credit for that? And what George Bush did was he sent everybody a a check and made sure they knew that it was as a result of George Bush's action that they were getting this tax cut. Our economic advisors said that it would not be as efficient economically to send the money that way. To do it through withholding would get the money into our system quicker and would help restore the economic growth more rapidly. And that, of course, was our principal concern. If we're guilty of something, I would say we were guilty of focusing on the job we were elected to do and perhaps not focusing enough on how we got credit for the job that we were doing. But that was a consequence to some degree of the times in which we were chosen to govern. We didn't have the luxury of spending a great deal of time tooting our horn and doing victory laps. We had one after another serious issue to deal with, and we've dealt with them, and we want to continue to move the country forward. They want to take it back to the policies that created the mess, and that's, of course, the issue for people on November 2nd.
You know, I'm going to insist on this point one last time, David. You know, in the last 2 years, as you know, you reached out to Republicans, unfortunately, that didn't allow you to make your case as forcefully as they were making. I mean, you got some people on those side calling you guys Maoists and socialists and Marxists, whereas it seemed like you kept reaching out and reaching out. Is there a recognition in the White House that that strategy was wrong?
Well, like I said, our fundamental mission was to move the country forward. I don't think it was wrong to pass health insurance reform. I don't think the millions of people with pre-existing medical conditions who are now going to be able to get coverage think it was wrong. I don't think the people who are being thrown off of insurance or were because they were seriously ill think it was wrong, or the senior citizens who are getting more help with their prescription drugs. I don't think it was wrong to push financial reform and so that people don't get cheated on their credit cards with hidden fees and penalties. Those were all important victories for the American people. And no, I think that we were right to push those. And I think you ask about credit. The important thing is that we move this country forward. We are governing still at a difficult time. The aftermath of these disastrous policies that were in place before we got here that created this mess is being felt still all over the country. So people are less interested in politicians grabbing credit for what they've done, and they're more interested in seeing us move forward, and that's what we want to do.
David Axelrod, Senior Advisor to President Obama, we really want to thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Great to be with you.